for you. Fresh value meal from Subway.
The hijackers demanded the release of 50 Palestinians currently being held in Israel, or they would begin to kill the passengers.
On the outskirts of Baghdad, U.S. forces capture a notorious terrorist.
On behalf of the United States.
In southern Iraq, the U.S. convenes the first meeting towards creating a new Iraqi leadership.
And I think I speak for the coalition that we have no interest, absolutely no interest in ruling Iraq.
But many are suspicious.
We refuse such a conference because we haven't been represented by our own well-marked figures.
And across the region, people want to know if Iraq is just the beginning.
Mr. Secretary, a lot of theories have been made about who's next. Does the U.S. has a plan to spread a set of values at gunpoint?
No, of course not. We have concerns about Syria. We have let Syria know of our concerns. We also have concerns about some of the policies of Iran.
This is the impression here that Syria might be next.
Tonight, aftershocks. Life after Saddam Hussein.
From ABC News. This is Nightline. Reporting from Washington, Ted Koppel.
This one stood out. If memory serves, they even made a television movie about it. It's been a long time, almost 20 years. And the catalog of horrors that terrorists have evolved over that time tends, with one or two notable exceptions, to blend one event into another. The hijacking of airliners became almost commonplace. Seizing a cruise ship, however, was anything but. And the murder of one elderly passenger in particular shocked the world as few individual murders have since. It has been, as I said, a long time. But in Baghdad last night, U.S. troops picked up the man who organized that particular hijacking, the man known as Abu Abbas. Nightline correspondent John Donvan has the rest of the story.
He is one of those underground figures whose face is fairly well known because at one time, and it's been a long time, he was one of the world's most wanted men, which has everything to do with the murder of an American in a wheelchair.
It's a cruise ship, maybe not the Love Boat, but still an unlikely scene for international terrorism.
It was 1985, and for 3 days, 4 Palestinian men terrorized an Italian cruise ship that they had hijacked in the eastern Mediterranean. Abbas was not among them, but they answered to him, and so he would later be held responsible for what happened on board to a 69-year-old named Leon Klinghoffer, who was paralyzed in a wheelchair. And it was this, the hijackers separated the Jewish passengers from all of the rest. That smaller group included Klinghoffer, who was on vacation with his wife. The story has always been told that when the men threatened the Jewish group, Klinghoffer refused to take it silently. He talked back defiantly, and that's when they shot him and threw him and his wheelchair overboard. Abbas, who appeared at that point in Egypt, convinced the 4 men to leave the ship and release the rest of the passengers. And then the 5 of them escaped on board a jet provided by Egypt. But it wasn't over yet. Then President Ronald Reagan had ordered U.S. jets to force the Egyptian plane to land in Italy, where Italian forces captured the 5 Palestinians. But it still wasn't over, because to the astonishment of the U.S., the Italians gave Abbas a free pass. They let him go. Italy would later try him in absentia and give him a life sentence, but Abbas was long gone.
They wanted to achieve mass killings in a spectacular fashion.
In 1990, his men again staged a big attack on a crowded beach near Tel Aviv, but the attackers failed. Some were killed. They had reached the beach by sea. Abbas himself in those years showed up in a lot of places, including Yugoslavia and Libya, which threw him out, and finally Iraq, an almost permanent home. Almost because once Yitzhak Rabin and Yasser Arafat shook hands, their agreement said that men like Abbas could come and go inside the boundaries of the new Palestinian Authority. Abbas took advantage of that. He made several trips to Gaza and the West Bank. The Israelis couldn't touch him. The Italians couldn't reach him. And as for the United States, it turns out the last warrant issued for his arrest expired back in the 1990s. But tonight, he is at last in U.S. custody, arrest warrant or not. And for sure, this time, there isn't going to be any free pass. I'm John Donvan for Nightline in Washington.
ABC News White House correspondent Terry Moran joins me now from the White House with reaction to the Abu Abbas capture. Terry, it's clear that they are pleased, but why are they quite as pleased as they are? I mean, this has been a long, long time ago, and Abu Abbas had essentially faded from most memories.
He had, Ted, but it has contemporary relevance, obviously. One of the things that the administration has been saying for months now is that Saddam Hussein's regime not only has ties to terrorists, and they were questioned on that, but that it was a haven for terrorists. And tonight officials are telling us that this capture proves their point, that terrorists could find a home in Saddam Hussein's Iraq, and now that he is gone, they will be caught.
What are they going to do with him?
That is an interesting question. The one charge that he faced, the statute of limitations had run out on. That was piracy. But officials are telling us now that they are confident that now that he's in military hands, the United States will find some legal way to get him, either by means of charging him under some kind of terrorist law, murder, domestically, or in the way that they are handling some of the detainees in Guantanamo under the executive order that the president signed concerning terrorists.
Are they suggesting, Terry, that there's going to be more of this coming, that they expect to find more such people?
Well, they expect to clear them out of Iraq. I think anything that they find is a political plus for them, but I must say that they were somewhat surprised that this turned up at this point.
Terry Moran, many thanks. When we come back, the latest from Iraq on trying to form a new government.
This is ABC News Nightline, brought to you by Microsoft.
Manager, register 5.
Hey, we're out of... No, we're not. It's like I think it, and it happens.
Yeah. .NET Connected Software helps you connect your supply chain. That's software for the agile business. From Microsoft.
Has anybody checked the interior?
Some of the finest leather I've ever seen.
Premium leather?
Rear seat DVD entertainment system.
Entertainment system?
And navigation.
Power rear door.
11 speaker Mark Levinson audio.
Mark Levinson audio.
It's a camera. It's a rear view camera.
Introducing the entirely new Lexus RX 330.
Oh, Mom!
Putting the world on notice again.
He called them his children, and 25 of them died with him. But these 7 survived. David Koresh and Armageddon, the children of Waco, primetime Thursday.
Healthy solutions for your busy life.
Too busy for breakfast? Breakfast eaters get more fiber, vitamins, and minerals than people who skip breakfast. Here's a healthy solution. For breakfast, make a smoothie with soy-enriched protein and frozen mixed berries. And you're on your way to a healthier day.
Brought to you by Joseph Cookies and Kroger, your healthy solution source. For more information, go to WKRN.com.
Problems are easier when you talk about them. Even if it's burning feminine itch, Maximum Strength Vagisil has the strongest itch medicine of its kind, plus skin-soothing vitamins. For instant relief, trust Vagisil, a better understanding of better intimate care.
Why pay more for glasses? At iMasters, you can get not 1, but 2 complete pairs of glasses for just $99. Choose from hundreds of great-looking frames and get 2 pairs for yourself or a pair for you and a family member or friend. Why pay more? Save at iMasters.
It's all well and good to talk about setting up a democratic system in Iraq, but some of the loudest voices heard in that country today were from thousands of protesters expressing their opposition to even an interim U.S. role in running their country. About the only thing the delegates to a U.S.-sponsored forum today could agree upon was that they will meet again in another 10 days. U.S. assurances that Washington has absolutely no interest in ruling Iraq were met by resentful crowds today chanting "No to America" and "No to Saddam." Saddam may now be irrelevant in Iraq, but for the time being, the United States is not. Under Washington's plan, each ministry would reportedly be headed by an American, with 2 American deputies, 8 American advisors, and 8 Iraqis, 4 of them exiles, 4 of them from within the country. That may have seemed like the soul of reasonableness when the plan was hatched in the United States, but as ABC's David Wright now reports, it's meeting some considerable resistance from the various Iraqi factions.
In an army tent pitched beneath the ziggurat that marks the birthplace of the biblical prophet Abraham, U.S. officials sought to lay the foundations of a free Iraq.
I can assure you that on behalf of the United States, and I think I speak for the coalition, that we have no interest, absolutely no interest in ruling Iraq.
Participants in the conference shared that wish. They agreed that Iraq's future government must be democratic, and they discussed the principle that Iraqis must choose their leaders, not have them imposed from the outside. But the 75 Iraqi leaders invited to attend this conference were all handpicked by the Americans, who will lead Iraq's interim government. Some key leaders sent representatives in their place, lest they be tarnished by association with the U.S. Others, including Iraq's Shiite minority, boycotted the conference altogether. In nearby Nasiriyah, thousands of Shiites took to the streets. Many of them bear the scars of Saddam Hussein's brutal Sunni government. They chanted, "Yes, yes to Islam, no to America and Saddam." A few weeks ago, that slogan would have brought swift punishment. Now people use their newfound freedom to protest against their liberators. Nasiriyah is a Shiite stronghold. Many still blame the U.S. for abandoning them after the Gulf War. This man, a soldier who rose up against the regime in 1991, spent 2 years in prison. The guards branded my forehead with a knife, he says. Then they cut off my ear. He wants the U.S. to compensate him. On a wall near the city center, black banners display the names of people who died from American bombs. The bombed-out banquet hall, where Saddam's Ba'ath Party officials used to entertain VIPs, is now an urban pasture. People here are desperate for supplies. This man didn't have enough gas to take his cousin's corpse to the graveyard, so today he stood with dozens of others in knee-deep water to siphon fuel illegally from a pipeline. People here are grateful to be rid of Saddam Hussein, but they are skeptical about U.S. intentions.
Congratulations to the U.S. Army and the British Army to save all the citizen people here from Saddam system regime. But this situation is not good.
At the end of the day, there's not much to show for this one-day conference. U.S. officials accomplished their main task, which is to introduce retired General Jay Garner to the group. The participants agreed to a 13-point statement of broad principles, and they agreed to convene again in 10 days' time. But what is clear is that this is the beginning of what could become a long and difficult process. Ted?
Is there a sense, David, that the United States really has a clear plan, how it wants things to proceed, when it wants things to proceed, with whom?
Well, the U.S. has a plan in that they want it to be done sooner rather than later. However, they're treading very carefully here. They don't want to appear to be installing a puppet regime. And there were some subtle hints today that the U.S. is sort of following the Iraqis' lead. General Garner wore an Iraqi flag pinned to his shirt, and he appeared at the conference as a participant, not as the chairman of the conference, as had initially been billed. The U.S. very much doesn't want to be appearing to be driving this process, although they do want to facilitate it and get it done sooner rather than later.
I was going to say, if they don't drive it, who will?
Well, it's a tough quandary for them because they had hoped to assemble a new regime, or at least the basis, the foundation for a new regime in a matter of weeks. Clearly, it's going to take longer than that. And in the meantime, there are a lot of people clamoring in the streets wanting basic services, and the U.S. is taking the blame for that.
David Wright, many thanks. We'll be back in just a moment with guests from Syria, Iran, and Jordan.
Are you paying too much for shipping? Priority Mail Service is dependable delivery starting at just $3.85. Maybe that's why we deliver more business packages than any two-day service. Priority Mail from the United States Postal Service.
A few years ago, I get this pain. It's no big whoop, just a little heartburn. Yeah, a burning, piercing fireball right here. So I cut down on the foods that bother me. I change my diet. I work out. Even my mom tries to help.
Son, try sleeping on an incline.
So I slipped some 2x4s under my bed. Oh yeah, my wife really loved that one. Then I started drinking that chalky stuff, popping acid reducers, and it all helped, but the pain keeps coming back 2-3 days a week. Okay, finally visit my doctor. He says it's acid reflux disease and prescribes Prevacid to help prevent the acid and heal the damage. So I take it like he says, and guess what? It really helps stop the acid pain. How's that for a happy ending?
Prescription Prevacid actually helps prevent acid where it starts by turning off many of the pumps that produce it. Prevacid has a low occurrence of side effects such as diarrhea, abdominal pain, and nausea. Other serious stomach conditions may still exist. Ask your doctor for more information and if Prevacid is right for you. Help prevent the acid with Prevacid.
All right, everybody's come to the table.
From generation to generation.
You're a much better father than I was.
From father to son.
But you didn't exactly set the bar all that high.
This family can survive anything. As long as they have each other.
Sure.
Michael Douglas, Kirk Douglas. It runs in the family. Rated PG-13. Starts Friday, April 25th at theaters everywhere.
Hi, I'm Jimmy Kimmel. This is my co-host Deion Sanders. Join us tonight with our guests are Mila Kunis and my dear friend Adam Carolla.
Him again?
I like him.
Jimmy Kimmel Live, coming up.
Hi, I'm Howard Oles, and this is Faith Break. Well, I'm ready for spring. How about you? Let the rain stop and the sun shine. Let the mud settle and the flowers bloom. Well, I'm even ready to crank up the old lawnmower. Every time I experience Earth's coming out party, I stand amazed at the power of resurrection inherent in nature. Even greater than new life on Earth is new life in us. We can rise again. We can bloom where we're planted. We can grow. And the time to start is now.
We're joined tonight by Murhaf Georgiati, a former political official in the Syrian government. He is now a scholar in residence at the Middle East Institute here in Washington. But tonight he joins us from the Syrian capital of Damascus. Nader Talebzadeh, a documentary filmmaker, joins us tonight from Tehran in Iran. And Daoud Kutab, a founder of AmanNet, Jordan's first independent internet radio station. He is a journalist and the director of the Institute of Modern Media at Al-Quds University in Ramallah. He joins us tonight from Amman, but I'd like to turn to Murhaf Georgiati first. There has been the sense these last few days that now that the military job, at least in Iraq, is complete, Syria might be next. Is that the inference that you have drawn from what's been coming out of Washington these last few days?
Certainly, this is the perception here, with all sorts of threats that are emanating from senior officials in Washington that have heightened very much the tension and have escalated the tension between U.S. And Syria. This is the impression here that Syria might be next.
Nader, let me pose this question to you. Your country, Iran and Iraq, had a brutal 8-year-long war. One would think that there would actually be rejoicing in Tehran today over what has happened in Iraq. Is there?
Right. Yes, you're right. There was. We were happy. We were not happy with the fact that we had to fight Saddam. We were not happy with this man. We considered him a tyrant. And we were happy that Saddam was toppled. We were not happy that the people of Iraq were massacred, devastated. We were happy that the massacre ended within 20-some days instead of 5 or 6 months, which people thought it would endure. But we were, yes, definitely, we were not happy to have Saddam as our neighbor, and we're happy that he is ousted, yes.
When you talk about a massacre, that's a strong word. What are you referring to when you talk about the massacre of the Iraqi people?
What else would you consider 10,000-pound bombs to be? What else would you consider Tomahawk and cruise missiles? The fear, the agony. We suffered the same fear and agony with Iraq's Scud missiles for 8 years. The Iraqi people were simultaneously attacked as Saddam and his government. This was the unfortunate part of the whole ordeal.
Dawood, in Jordan, is there a similar perception? Is there a feeling that what happened here was not a war between two armies, but something that, as Nader puts it, approaches a massacre of innocent civilians?
Well, I think there's been a lot of attention given to the casualties of this war, and especially the children and the innocent people who have been killed or maimed and houses have been destroyed. But there hasn't been any kind of happiness of what happened because of the special relations Jordan has with Iraq. The feeling that an important Arab country has been occupied by the U.S. government, and I think there's a lot of feeling that pan-Arabism, pan-Arab nationalism has been given a big blow by the U.S., and people are concerned that there will be ripple effects on this issue in many parts of the region, including the Palestinian-Israeli conflict.
Murhaf, what do you think the long-term U.S. goal in all of this is?
Well, it seems as though there is a plan, and that plan was obviously to take out the regime of Saddam Hussein and to redo Iraq, but also to redo the Middle East, to reshape the Middle East in order to, I think, in the American mind, to make an environment that is conducive to an Arab-Israeli peace, and therefore the roadmap that we hear so much about between Israelis and Palestinians. That peace will not succeed if there are going to be some who are opposed to it. And there are going to be many who are opposed to it because, for example, it doesn't take into account Syrian interests, Syrian rights over recovering its sovereignty over the Golan Heights. It seems to me that, yes, there is a plan, there's a grand American plan to reshape the Middle East, to reshape it in the mold of the United States. We constantly hear about the democratization of the Middle East. And all this, unfortunately, is done in a very nasty manner.
Now that as we hear Murhaf talking about Syrian fears, is there a sense in Iran that the United States has military ambitions toward your country?
Well, there's a general nervousness. No one likes to hear some rhetoric and then see different action. With Iraq, the whole world heard a different rhetoric and a different pattern of action. They were looking for weapons of mass destruction by UN research teams, and they ended up taking over Iraq. Previous to that, they were looking for Osama bin Laden in Afghanistan, and a group of special forces were supposed to search for him, and they ended up taking the whole country. So there's a general mistrust about what they say and what they do finally.
All right, let's take a short break, gentlemen. When we come back, each of our guests will have one final thought.
To receive a daily email announcement about each evening's Nightline and a preview of special broadcasts, log on to the Nightline page at abcnews.com.
In my dream, I'm running.
From who?
I'm not sure. They're wearing masks. They're tough customers.
Customers? What do they want?
Everything now.
On demand.
They're very demanding.
And you can't get away?
No. What does it mean?
That you're too slow, you can't respond, and you're in denial.
No, I'm not.
See?
The all-new 265 horsepower Nissan Maxima.
Wednesday, 8/7 Central. The stress of Damon's marriage affects the kids.
If you keep worrying like that, you're gonna suffer from performance anxiety like your father.
on my wife and kids. Then, how could George not have known this dark family secret?
I only lie to protect you. Or when it's convenient.
On George Lopez. Then at 9/8 Central on a special 2-hour Bachelor. Expect 2 times the romance.
I ended up kissing all the ladies tonight.
And 2 times the jealousy.
I don't trust any of these girls anymore.
On The Bachelor. It all starts ABC Wednesday, 8/7 Central.
Save like never before at Doctor's Value Vision, where you can get 2 complete pairs of glasses, frames, and lenses for just $89. You can choose from over 1,000 great-looking frames. Or if you wear bifocals or trifocals, those same 2 pairs cost just $129. And one of your 2 pairs can be for you, a family member, or a friend. And your glasses will be ready in about an hour. Plus, eye exams are available, no appointment necessary. Why pay more? Save at Doctor's Value Vision, now open in Cookeville in the Jackson Plaza.
The phones are going crazy. People are calling from everywhere to find out about what's going on with Direct, lowering their rates. Hello, I'm Candace, customer service representative with Direct, and you need to call us now. Why? It's simple, because we have lowered our rates to all our drivers. That's right, to all our drivers. That means you. Pick up your phone and call us right now, 1-800-444-4211.
Save a lot of money when you buy Direct.
And we're back once again with our guests from the Middle East. What does each of you think is going to happen in Iraq over the next year or so? Do you believe the United States when it says that its only ambition is to create a self-reliant democratic government and then the United States will pull out? Morhaf, why don't we begin with you?
Well, we could have believed that had they, for example, let the Iraqis after this war determine their own future, maybe with the help and the central role of the United Nations that it should be playing. Instead, what we have is a list of names of American proconsuls. We have a General Franks that is going to be apparently the leader of Iraq, something that is absolutely absurd in the Arab mind. America is now viewed as an imperialist power out to occupy Iraq and to install a puppet regime in Baghdad.
Nader, your thoughts on the same question?
Well, the saying is, the rhetoric is, they want to liberate Iraq, and they have liberated Iraq, so to say, and they want to democratize Iraq. If what we have seen in the past is going to be the same pattern of what we're going to be seeing in the future, I am usually an optimistic person, but in this case, we have to see what happens. The general feeling here in Iran is Iraq is going to be occupied by U.S. forces. They're there to stay, and they're there to they mean business. And the democratization of Iraq is going to be a facade, and behind it is going to be a very different scene. It's going to be a scene of control and a base for further action to destabilize or to replan the Middle Eastern geography.
Dawood, what are your feelings as to America's long-term intentions?
I slightly disagree with your 2 other guests. I think America will genuinely try to create some kind of democratization in Iraq. I think just to convince themselves that they have tried, I think they will make an effort. But I don't think they will succeed. I think it will be a big failure in the sense that they will go through the motions, they will try to get people elected and so on, but they will quickly realize that, you don't export democracy with F-18s and, cruise missiles, and you can't, in 6 months, create a whole political movement that can understand and respect and compromise and deal, and they will get frustrated and they will either just leave or use even more brutal force and get stuck in Iraq. So I think there will be an attempt, but I don't think it's going to succeed, or it will not succeed the way they expect it to.
Gentlemen, I thank all of you very much. It was good of you to join us, and that's our report for tonight. I'm Ted Koppel in Washington. For all of us here at ABC News, good night.
In times like these, thank goodness there's still a Nightline. Koppel brings a cool intelligence and perspective. American television's MVP. Cheers to Ted Koppel. No wonder more and more Americans are turning to Nightline.
Ball to Detroit. Bird steals it. Johnson, way up Boston.
NBA playoffs Sunday, 3 Eastern on ABC.
On a special 2-hour Bachelor, expect 2 times the romance.
I ended up kissing all the ladies tonight.
And 2 times the jealousy.
The fangs are coming out tonight.
A 2-hour Bachelor, ABC Wednesday.
Get overnight news from Iraq first with News 2 this morning.
Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba.